Good afternoon and welcome to Spectrum Television News at 12. I am Uyai and here can come to you live from Uyo, the capital city of Akwa Ibom State, Nigeria. Let's take a look at some of the major stories. Federal government denies subsidy return. NYC decries rejection of core members by employers. Plus, President Biden interviewed over handling of classified files. We will bring you details of these stories and more in a moment. Thanks for joining us. First in the news this afternoon is a report that the federal government has denied reintroducing the subsidy on premium motor spirits, popularly called petrol, amid the closure of many filling stations nationwide due to various challenges in the downstream oil sector. It is also said that pockets of queues observed by motorists in petrol stations across the country stemmed from hiccups in product distribution from the south to the north, not a lack of supply. This announcement came in light of the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited (NNPCL) declaration that it would have gone bankrupt in June this year had it not been the President Bola Tinubu did not halt subsidy on PMS in May. The group of Chief Executive Officer NNPCL Mele Kyari told newsmen after an audience with the President at the Aso Rock Villa that fuel subsidy had not been returned. Meanwhile, NNPCL also announced that Nigeria would become a net exporter of refined petroleum products by next year, going by efforts to revamp its refineries. In the meantime, the Minister of Interior, Olubunmi Tunji-Ojo, has said Nigerians will have their passports delivered to their homes, offices and other locations of their choice from February 2024. Speaking at the opening ceremony of the International Week of the University of Lagos, titled Breaking the Borders of Partnership, Tunji-Ojo said by January next year, Nigerians would be able to complete the application process online. According to Tunji-Ojo, the ministry has commenced the automation of our end-to-end passport application process, and they have been given a timeline from which Nigerians will begin to experience the sweet experience. The minister revealed that by implication, Nigerians would not need to wait longer than 2 weeks before they get their passport. By January next year, Nigerians will be able to complete this application process online, and by February next year, with collaboration and partnership with other relevant stakeholders, Nigerians will have their passports delivered to their homes, offices and other locations of their choice. In another development, the federal government has said it will soon issue an order compelling airline operators to start paying compensation to passengers for delayed and cancelled flights not attributed to natural occurrences. The Minister for Aviation and Aerospace Development, Festus Keyamo, stated this during a meeting with airline operators in Abuja. Keyamo noted that the federal government will start implementing the provisions of the NCAA Act, stressing that most Nigerians do not know there is compensation for delay. If it is an act of God, you cannot pay, but if it is a human fault, the NCAA Act says you will pay. Similarly, the minister urged the airline operators to maintain stable communication channels that enable passengers to get cancellation notices. In a separate development, the National Commission for Refugees, Migrants and Internally Displaced Persons, NCFRMI, has inaugurated more than 40 fully completed houses at the resettlement city for IDPs in Zamfara State. The Deputy Director Communication Strategy Unit of the Commission, Tunde Onyasaya, disclosed this in a statement in Abuja. The statement quoted the Federal Commissioner NCFRMI Tijani Ahmed as saying the aim of the project was to restore dignity, rebuild lives, and rekindle hope for the persons of concern. He acknowledged the vision of his predecessors, Senator Bashir Mohammed, who conceived the idea, and Imam Suleiman Ibrahim, who saw it through. On academic matters, the Minister of Education, Tahir Maman, has said the government of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is interested in a stable academic calendar for tertiary institutions in the country. The minister also noted that plans were ongoing to review the security architecture for schools in the country. Maman, who spoke during an event to mark the 60th anniversary of the Committee of Vice Chancellors in Abuja, noted that the government increased the salaries of workers in tertiary institutions as part of its commitment to the welfare of the academic community. Meanwhile, the minister challenged the committee to place Nigerian universities among global institutions that use science and technology as vehicles for solving their problems. Away from that, the National Youth Service Corps NYSC has expressed concern over the rejection of corps members by some employers in the Northeast region. The NYSC director in charge of Zone, Garin Shire, stated this, at a one-day Corps Employers Forum on Monday in Yola, Adamawa State. The theme of the workshop was deepening Corps employers' participation towards improved welfare and security of Corps members. Ishaya noted that the trend was discouraging to the Corps members and the scheme, adding that they should be accorded enabling environments in their places of primary assignment to contribute to the social and economic development of the country. Meanwhile, it and sought the support of local council chairmen towards promoting the objectives of the scheme. On petroleum matters, the Petroleum and Natural Gas Senior Staff Association of Nigeria has called for a salary benchmark for oil and gas workers in the country. The national president of the union, Festus Osifo, made this call at the second edition of the Pengasin Energy and Labour Summit in Abuja. The three-day event was titled Petroleum Downstream Deregulation and Gas Utilization for a Sustainable Energy Future in Nigeria. Osifo said that the call was imperative due to the recent policy direction by the federal government, which includes PMS subsidy removal and the floating of the Naira-dollar exchange rate. Osifo noted that in Angola, legislation pegged workers' salaries in dollars and paid them the legal tender equivalent, while affirming that Pengasin will do all it can to push for this just and equitable distribution across its branches. Now to Africa, where the West African Elders Forum YF election mission to Liberia has advised political actors and other stakeholders in today's polls to shun violence and commit to peaceful elections. The head of the YF mission and former President Goodluck Jonathan and Deputy Head of Mission Kadri Ogrago, who is a former Prime Minister of Burkina Faso, in a statement enjoined candidates to abide by the peace accord, urging the National Electoral Commission (NEC) and the security agencies to exercise their mandate in accordance with the nation's laws to build trust and guarantee the integrity of the polls. Meanwhile, President George Weah, who is going for re-election, is being challenged by opposition coalitions, and no fewer than 2.3 million voters are registered to participate in the voting. Still in Africa, death toll from floods in Cameroon's capital has reached 27, with more than 50 injured as rescuers intensify the search for those missing following the deluge the previous day. Recall that the rains unleashed floodwaters in the district of Yaoundé, 2 of the country's capital, on Sunday, sweeping away buildings and reducing many to rubble. One of the victims mentioned that some bodies have traveled a long way and have been found more than 100 meters from their homes. Speaking with newsmen, Urbanism Minister Celestine Cortes, who visited the site, called on local residents to follow the instructions of local authorities because the country has so many documents concerning the well and planned evacuation of the cities. Moving now to the foreign scene, Israel is pounding Gaza with deadly airstrikes, displacing more than 100,000 people and sending waves of injured Palestinians to overwhelmed hospitals as the military threatened a complete siege of the densely populated enclave. Israel's United Nations ambassador told newsmen that the country's priority is to obliterate Hamas terrorist capabilities after the militant group threatened to kill civilian hostages and broadcast executions if airstrikes target Gaza without warning. Ambassador Gilead Edan said the number of hostages held in Gaza is estimated at about 100 and 150. Meanwhile, Hamas has claimed it is holding more than 100 captives, including Israeli army officers. Reports say at least 900 people have died in Israel and more than 680 Palestinians have been killed since the conflict erupted on Saturday when Hamas launched a devastating surprise attack on Israel. Still on the foreign scene, US President Joe Biden has been interviewed as part of a probe into his handling of classified documents after he left the vice presidency in 2017. Reports say Biden met voluntarily with special counsel Robert Hur at the White House over 2 days. Recall that Hur was appointed after a separate investigation was launched into secret documents found at Donald Trump's home. Meanwhile, Ayan Sams, a spokesman for Biden, said in a statement that the interview was conducted and the president has been cooperating with the investigation. Still to come in the news. Super Eagles open camp for friendlies in Portugal today. Stay tuned for details of this and more after the break. Thanks for staying tuned, and now to the rest of the news stories. On our business news, the Managing Director, International Monetary Fund (IMF), Kristalina Georgieva, has said the world economy is incomplete without Africa. Recall that the World Bank and the International Monetary Fund (IMF) yesterday opened their first meetings on African soil in 50 years. The meetings are holding in southern Moroccan city of Marrakesh. Speaking further, IMF Managing Director Kristalina Georgieva described Africans as incredible, saying they have continually supported the continent as a prosperous world economy in the 21st century requires a prosperous Africa. Meanwhile, the consultations would continue until Sunday and will, among other, climate change, high inflation, and the fight against poverty.
You are offering us a lesson of solidarity. You're also amplifying the voice of the continent. And I can say, in my heart of heart, a prosperous 21st century is only possible with prosperous Africa. Here are the young people in the north. In the north is the capital, with aging populations. If we built a bridge for capital to travel where it would make a difference, Africa would do well, the world would do well.
In business, The e-Naira is being refined and adjusted in order to enhance the experience of users across various platforms or systems. The Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, in a statement signed by the bank's spokesman Issa Abdulmumin, said the goal is to make it easier and more convenient for people to use the e-Naira. The statement emphasized the importance of Nigerians adopting this technology, while stating that the e-Naira structure is evolving and undergoing modifications to improve the user experience. Recall that the CBN released the statement in response to news reports suggesting that the central bank digital currency, CBDC, the e-Naira, poses a threat to the country's financial stability. In health, as the world marked World Mental Health Day, the World Health Organization, WHO, has said there is a need for the government to adopt legislative reforms to end coercion in mental health services and enshrine free and informed consent as the basis of all mental health-related interventions. World Mental Health Day is celebrated every year on October 10 to raise awareness about mental health around the world and to mobilize efforts to support those experiencing mental health issues. WHO Director General Tedros Ghebreyesus said mental health is an integral and essential component of the right to health and affirmed that the new guidance will support countries to make the changes needed to provide quality mental health care that assists a person's recovery and respects their dignity. According to WHO, there is a growing body of evidence that indicates how coercive practices negatively impact physical and mental health. Meanwhile, WHO said legislative provisions should provide guidance on how more complex and challenging cases can be handled in legislation and policies without recourse to coercive practices. Still in health, the National Primary Healthcare Development Agency has confirmed that 117 children died following a diphtheria outbreak in Yobe in 2022. The agency, however, said that 1,600 children had recovered from the disease with the period under review. The executive director of the agency, Dr. Faisal Shwaib, stated this during an inspection visit to the Diphtheria Isolation Center in Potiskum, the epicenter of the disease in the state. He said 1,796 cases of the disease had been reported in Yobe since November 2022, adding that the disease was more prevalent among children aged between 5 to 14 years. In sport, the Super Eagles of Nigeria will begin preparations for the double-header friendly against Saudi Arabia and Mozambique today. Reports say all the 25 invited players are expected to converge in Portimao, Portugal for the friendlies. Recall that head coach Jose Peseiro has already handed late invitations to 3 players, Tyrone Ebuehi, Umar Sadiq and Chidozie Awaziem, for the games. They came in as replacements for the injured trio Ola Aina, Taiwo Awoniyi and Jimilu Collins. The friendlies are meant to serve as preparations for the Super Eagles 2026 World Cup qualifying fixtures against Lesotho and Zimbabwe. Meanwhile, the Super Eagles will take on the Greens of Saudi Arabia in Portimao on Friday, while the encounter against the Mambas of Mozambique will take place 3 days later. Still in sports, the Minister of Sports Development, Senator John Owan Eno, has hailed the men's deaf football team, also called the Deaf Eagles, for making their 4-country round at the 4th edition of the World Deaf Football Championships held in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. The minister commended the team for their outing as they made Nigeria proud despite making their first outing at the championships. The minister further said he congratulates them for representing Nigeria at the World Championships as our country made its first appearance since 2008, noting that in 3 previous editions Nigeria was not represented. Meanwhile, Owa said there is no greater demonstration of the social inclusiveness of sports than having a deaf team travel to represent Nigeria. On our entertainment news, American singer and songwriter Lady Gaga and Michael Polanski have proved breakup rumors untrue with public sightings of the couple in Las Vegas. Recall that rumors circulated earlier this year that the pair had split after 3 years together. Meanwhile, Gaga and Michael were recently spotted together multiple times in Las Vegas, with Gaga throwing up a peace sign at fans. Still in entertainment, Nigeria singer Raul Jejeng, better known as Skills, has called out the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, claiming heavily armed operatives of the agency broke into his house and wrongly accused him of being a fraudster. Skills revealed this in a series of tweets on the X app. According to him, he was at home with his 6-month-old daughter when the anti-graft agency operatives, numbering about 3, broke into his house through the back door on Monday night. The Sheikh Body crooner also said he had a panic attack because of some health issues he's dealing with and claimed his record producer was injured by the EFCC operatives. And that's all we have for you at this time. Do well to follow us on social media. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, all of which you can find on our website, spectrumtv.ng. This has been Spectrum Television News at 12. Thanks for watching and do enjoy the rest of your day. Good afternoon.